up, real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. And if you've got something to share, pick up the phone, turn it up, real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. Join the talk, we keep it live. Yeah.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, we invite you to make your contribution. We never have a subject matter. We speak on any issues, regional, international, or you can introduce your own subject matter. And you can interrupt us at any time. We will stop in the middle of a sentence and take your call. We believe that our people have to be prepared to discuss issues. We have the right. The medium is provided for us. A lot of countries in the world don't have that right. Cuba, North Korea, Iran, the China, and the Soviet Union don't have that right. Communist countries don't give you that right. In all communist countries, they don't give you the right to speak. They believe they alone have the answers. Thousands of people are in prison in China, in Russia, in Iran, in Cuba. Over 60 years as Cuba experiment with a socialism, they are jailing people. You heard the union leaders screaming on May Day, but I've not heard them expressing solidarity with the trade union in Cuba. Trade union in Cuba is not legal. They can't practice. Cuba have thousands of people in jail, languishing in prison and dying in prison. And the trade union in Grenada, while they're expressing solidarity with Cuba, they have abandoned the trade union in Cuba. And that is what communism is all about. All the communist leaders all over the world and Grenada communists do not believe in freedom of the press. Ask them. They don't believe in freedom of the press. They want freedom for themselves. All Grenada communists in America, Canada, England, they're not in Russia. They're not in China. They're not in North Korea. That is the countries they go and roost. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pierre, I'm listening the program to the point on Wednesday. Claudia Judy was on the and somebody from the diaspora called Claudia and tell her that he heard that the program in the school is closed down. So get information for him. And we go ask Claudia if the present administrator cannot sue the past administration for the documents for Island Gas. When Mr. Bowen come on the air and he say about Island Gas on many occasions, the present administration making people think that the missing documents for Island Gas and the past administration has to be responsible for that. Mr. President, it's not fair that people must speak the truth and speak it ever. Can't doing those things and making people think that the past administration is so bad and wicked. Tell them, stop doing that thing. Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, well, they're doing that for a purpose, sister. They're doing that, and if they believe if they continue with that, you yourself would have doubt. And I've said repeatedly and many times, the NDC is the only political organization in Grenada that has sit down and plan lies. They just make lies. They just sit down and plan propaganda, and they plan lies. And this government is the worst group. Some of the others have been more succor, but this government under Deacon Mitchell have been the worst group for planning lies. The line has more than one horse trading. You had a situation in Maribor where the farmers was complaining that the propagating station in Maribor cut off the water from them. Water they was using for 20 odd years. And I don't know if it's the PS, I want them to say a big stone fall in the dam. Well, just take out the big stone. And the minister said, one man that making the noise. About 4 or 5 of them show their face on social media. They say over 20 farmers. The minister say one man. Almost every member of this present regime, about 7 of them so far, have been caught telling lies. They plan lies. You know? So people have to continue correcting them. When one call and they leave a lie, call back and correct. Whether they're on social media, they don't answer questions. They attack you personally on the line. When you go on social media, they're saying, well, you're getting money, that's what you're saying. That's why you're saying that. So they like that. They try to maul individuals and lie. And that's why in my program, I always ask, what is it that I'm saying that is not the truth? Every time they try to take me on, what is it that I'm saying that is not the truth? List them for me. Because I promise to speak truth. And I believe if we continue to speak truth, we will force them to speak truth. You have to prepare, listen to them well. And if they're telling lies, then ask questions. And you will see they dodging away from those questions. They cannot answer. I've said several months ago that this group of individuals is inciting violence in the country. They're instigating people to do violent acts. And I gave a lot of reasons why I'm doing that. Why I say that. The Attorney General, Claudia Joseph, is inciting violence. She's a lawyer. She's an Attorney General. The 3 most powerful posts in the cabinet is the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Minister of Finance. When the NDC started, the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister was the same person. And the Prime Minister had to run. He was doing a very bad job. So he gave up the post of Minister of Finance to the only hope in NDC. Dennis Cornwall is the only hope in NDC. Although the Prime Minister tried to sabotage Dennis Cornwall after he presented the budget, he stood up to speak. The speaker invited him to speak. He started to speak. The speaker interrupted him and had a caucus with him. He continued to speak. The speaker called a recession, I believe. Called a time off. Time off is not the right parliamentary word, but he called a time off and had discussion with members of the government and members of the opposition. Deacon was not in it. And all and sundry agreed that the Minister of Finance would continue his presentation as he answered the people who challenged him. The budget, he rebut the budget. Then the Prime Minister get up and speak. But I believe the level of violence that we've seen in Grenada today, it does not surprise me. I've been warning about it. The actions of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General chiefly was responsible for the upsurge in violence. Their actions serve as a catalyst to cause people to be violent. They open a Pandora box. And today, I will tell you why I say that. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs and Minister of Labor, powerful posts, supposed to be the advisor to government. I understand she herself have an advisor. She made statements that was unacceptable. She very demeaning and fractious statement. In addition to that, when people lost their job, the Minister of Labor was in glee, was in donkey glory, rejoicing when people lost their job. The Minister of Finance was seen on social media firing imaginary gun in the air and advocating to shoot Babylon. Babylon in the Caribbean is the police. Showing utter contempt and disrespect for the police. If it was just a moment of madness, she did not apologize. She did not give any explanation. She could have said it was just a moment when I got ahead of myself. Nothing. It means what she said stood. It was deliberate. Now a lawyer, biggest point is words. Lawyer studied for about 4 years. And the strongest thing is how they manage words, how they manipulate words. So when a lawyer says something, I take it much more seriously than if it comes just from an ordinary man. So she was inciting those on the fringe of the law to shoot Babylon, to be defiant, to be disrespectful to the police. That is unacceptable. The Prime Minister himself, from day one, was showing utter contempt and disrespect to the police. He was using obscenities, behaving like a dance hall artist, and encouraging vulgarity and objectionable language. And children, these people started up visiting schools with great regularity. The Prime Minister said morality is a private thing. Yet, he was visiting schools. He introduced restorative justice. And its practicality on the ground, when it's implemented on the ground, it is more retributive justice. It is vengeance. It is victimization. No leader in their right mind encourage violence in their own country. The Prime Minister find that wasn't satisfactory. So he made statement to the effect that the only reason the others getting assistance, and we interpret that to mean NNP supporters, is because we don't know who the real NDC is. The Prime Minister are hinting that some of the people claiming to be NDC are NNP. They're masquerading as NNP for assistance. So he says the only reason the NNP getting assistance is because we don't know who the real NDC is. You see, you must take that into context. Because Black Wizard said years ago that inside NDC, you have a lot of NNP. So although they needed the votes from individuals who normally support NNP, they don't consider them as the real NDC. I pointed out to my brother Blash that NDC don't consider you as a real NDC. I see how militant he is. And I fear that the level of militancy I see in my cousin, afraid you commit crime. So I encourage you to tone down and come to the realization that NDC would never recognize you as a real NDC. The NDC government has been using in words like classless and commoners and beggy. Very dismissive language. But the Prime Minister didn't stop there. The Prime Minister promised to legalize weed. But before he took the action to legalize weed, he made a social media movie with weed. A social media movie. The plan that we see on the movie look exactly like weed. And the Prime Minister never said it was not weed. So we believe he deliberately made a movie with weed to diss the police. The police was there. He did it in the police presence. He undermined the authority of the law. I understand even the individual whom he used was a known suspect of the police. When some individuals saw this, they jumped to the conclusion that weed was legalized in Grenada. And immediately, people was racing for the iron dog. Because if weed is legalized, people go thief weed. There will be an upsurge in the incidence of stealing weed. So those weed growers and other individuals who want to get involved in the weed trade started posing with the iron dog. I had to speak to two individuals on social media who I saw rolling and falling and exhibiting weed. I had to call them and tell them, no, we don't legalize. And they was wrangling with me. How we don't legalize? How we don't legalize? And the Prime Minister playing with a weed tree on social media. I had to say to them, remember, I tell you the Prime Minister is a fake. That is responsible for the upsurging crime in Grenada. And we have two people to blame for it. The Prime Minister of Grenada and the Minister of Legal Affairs and Labor. They contributed to the upsurge. You remember the Prime Minister was saying the police must get bigger gun. He's sucking the police to shoot people. That's the only reason you could do it. And what for? I understand that the violence level in the Caribbean is increasing. But I don't agree with Caribbean leaders on the action that they are taking or the reaction to the upsurge in violence. In Grenada, we were in a unique case because a lot of our politicians post-1983 was doing everything in their power to dilute the urge people have for committing crime. They always try to discourage people from getting involved in crime. Where you have this NDC come now, and all their actions is to incite, to instigate, to fracture, to encourage people to get involved in crime. Kamala Passad Bisesa win election a couple days ago. And her first speech, I agree with 100%. Very welcoming, well, not 100%, but very welcoming and tolerant. It's quite true she made a too political blow at Rowley. But at time, better she had extended an olive branch to Rowley, and encourage him for dialogue. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, miss.
I want to know when this weed go legalized. I find it's time. So long I waiting because I have me iron dog waiting already, you know.
Don't tell the police where the iron dog is.
No, I can't tell you where the iron dog is. You're crazy. You understand? I'm waiting long. All right.
Yes, that is a challenge we have. It can be mouth open and word jump out. You are the Prime Minister. And plus that he's a lawyer. The behavior of the Prime Minister of Grenada and the Minister of Legal Affairs contributed to Tevin Andrew cussing the police. I have never heard that in my life. He said he cussed the police. If anybody asks you, tell them, yes, I cussed the police. The level of disrespect that poor Tevin did, I believe Tevin was fooled by the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. He said, if these people could speak so, then I had to better them. Because Tevin believes that he's a good spokesman. He don't have much depth, but he believes that he's a good spokesman. No one asked him to apologize or to withdraw these statements. The little sister Karine James, there are information to suggest that she too was very disrespectful of the police. So we see 4 ministers in Grenada, 2 senior individuals, lawyers, and 2 flamboyant, young, energetic people showing utter contempt and disrespect for the police. That, I believe, has contributed to the readiness of the police to use their gun. That, I believe, has contributed to a number of people on the fringe of society and young people who doesn't recognize the consequences of a gun to be firing gun in public place. And I blame the Prime Minister and the Minister of Legal Affairs for that. And while I believe that Karine James, or Karine, and Tevin Andrew should have more sense, I think they were so impressed by the deliberate, violent action of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Legal Affairs. We have to hold them accountable. They are responsible for the upsurge in crime. And the quicker they acknowledge and give some dummy explanation for the action and show regret and cease and desist from that instigating and inciting violence behavior, faster the crime rate come down. I don't think they're humble enough to do that. So we're going to have more incidents of crime in our country. More incidents of crime. We have several of our young men in the country, hundreds of them, get very disrespectful. They're cussing wind. In every creek and corner you go in Grenada, they're cussing wind, utter contempt and disrespect for the elderly. And the action of NDC has not helped. It's like fuel in fire. Even Ronald Robinson, a voice yesteryear that was a voice of reason, seems to be radicalized now. And he's cussing old people too. That is where we find ourselves. And people have to speak to them and ask them to change. Because when crime is committed in a country, we have innocent bystanders. One friend tell me there is nothing as innocent bystander. He say you're part of the community, you contribute to the negatives in the community, and you must stand the consequences. So the lawyers and the doctors and senior public officers and senior teachers and people in the society that have something to lose, when there is an upsurge in crime, you are the first one to bawl. Others might feel it, but they are already living in the ghetto. But you are the ones that will be affected most. So on that issue, I would just say that the upsurge in crime in Grenada is as a direct response, a direct result of the behavior of our leading members of cabinet. That's the reason why we have an upsurge in crime. And if they don't check themselves and try to rewind and try to change their behavior and let peace reign, when your supporters are calling on radio and people have lost their job, they're saying, let them starve. Let them pound stone in the river. Immediately, voices should be called, asking them to withdraw this statement. Instead of that, the government has been emulating some of the biggest advocates of hate. That is going to contribute to crime. If people losing their job, and the Minister of Legal Affairs and Labor say that the people lost their job because they were against the transformative agenda. The minister is a lawyer. That's not Tevin Andrew that's speaking now. Not just a hot-blood, irrespectable and insensitive individual. You is the attorney general and you're a lawyer and you're a woman. And you lying. You blatantly disfiguring the truth. Even when you were caught red-handed with your hand in the cookie jar, you still lying. You blaming permanent secretary doing all kinds. The NDC had several members of the public service dressed in the battle yellow, the more yellow than saffron, campaigning for them. I have not seen any senior member of the public service identifying with, associating with, or flaunting NNP. Not one. Let me repeat that. I have not seen one member of the hierarchy of the public service, or the teachers, or the nurses, campaigning or identifying with NNP as a party. I can easily list and name several members of the top echelons of the public service, the top public officers and teachers identifying with, campaigning with, wearing insignia and domino on clothes of the NDC. When you have a political party that is so vengeful and vindictive, that is going to contribute to crime. You think it's easy for somebody to lose their job in a country like Grenada, and they lose their job because of politics, and they do not expect to get a job again in the next 4 years, and NDC say they're going to stay 10 years, so that person, for 10 years, they cannot get a job. But they're also afraid that the children will not get scholarships, that the children will not get an opportunity to go work with the government service, because this vindictive government that we have going to block them. They believe that. And I have no reason to doubt them. I could have doubted them before, but not now. I realize how vindictive the government is. Even in a simple program they have to provide income support for farmers, the minister is ordering that you should not give people money because they are poor and they seem to be supportive of the opposition. This is not things for us to take lightly. This level of growing discontent, and perhaps justifiably so, is what will contribute to an upsurge in violence. Over the years, you have heard me complimented the police for having one of the best track record in the Caribbean. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother.
how you doing, man?
Great.
Mr. Pierre, the direction this government going. The countries which are seeking to want to have the friendship with, I mean, culture-wise, what it could benefit Grenada. I'm talking about, I mean, our music, our culture. We could go in Saudi Arabia and promote them things. We could go in Turkey and promote them things. I don't know. Then promoters have to have a good look at what is happening to them, because it looking real dull for them, man. You know. Anyway, hold it on, my brother.
Yes, my brother. We always encourage music in school. We believe that every child should be exposed to at least 2 musical instruments. We believe parents should start from age 5, minimum, to teach your children music. We've been crying out for that for years. Some parents have answered our call, but we need more parents to invest in music. A guitar is not very expensive, maybe $400-500. A flute is not very expensive. But a shell is cheap. And even if it means your child could beat the drum and blow the shell, that is good. Because there are statistics outside there and information outside there that tells us if a child, the benefits, point out the benefits of teaching music to children. They claim it help them in maths and other subjects. Help them to behave themselves. Help them to be able to work in a team. And this information is there, outside there, over 200 years. Every opportunity I get, I appeal to parents. Don't wait on the education system. 4, 5 of you in the neighborhood, you all sit down and gossip together. Sit down and spend some time to teach your children music. I encourage you to send your children in the church. I don't care which church. Send them in the church. Encourage them to go in choir. Encourage the church to teach music. A lot of our young people could sing. Get a teacher to teach them voice control. Why do I say that? Your child will be more competitive on the job market. If somebody is deeply involved in music, they're less likely to be involved in violence and other social decadence. The church could be a place that could help your children in morality. When you have the leadership of our country saying morality is a private thing, that's dangerous ground. In Grenada, we have a lot of atheists, communists, Marxists, Leninists, a lot of them. And we might be grossly underestimating devil worshippers. You saw in the 2022 election, and it's the first time I've seen that or heard that in my life, that individual was brought to Grenada to to dabble in the occult to help a side win election. I'm not saying it happened before, but it's the first time I heard it and I in tongue long. Yes, caller, welcome.
I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Good evening, Senior.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Senior, Saturday afternoon I had the opportunity to be a part of a session with Honorable Emlyn Pierre in the Soubise area. Let me revoke that statement. A session. I would not say a session. In my opinion, that was a mini rally. And that mini rally was for bringing the men in that area there together. But I don't know how Honorable Emlyn Pierre does do that. But I am telling you, I have never seen men in one setting like that. I need to congratulate all the men in the Soubise and the surrounding area that see fit to come together and interact with the men who's playing draft and some playing cards, and there was nothing political about it. We had a speech by Selwyn Helen, the Noel Jurity, and he spoke pertaining to prostate cancer, and he was proud enough to say that he is a prostate cancer patient. And he lectured the men to check the doctor to make sure that everything is quite okay. And I really applaud Jurity for that. I really applaud him for that. It was a session, it was a very educational session that men can be able to come out and they can be able to listen and interact with each other. And by doing that, they can be able to build a strong foundation for Emlyn Pierre in that area. We also had a very good topic by Mr. Taffawa Pierre, and he spoke as is related to illegal firearms and crimes in the country. He also spoke as it relates to illegal drugs, etc. And surprisingly, he was saying that in a very long time he has not seen, well, he had never seen young people just believe that it is illegal for you to just, smoke marijuana any way you feel. And he gave a very good account of himself. I need to say congratulations to you, Honorable Emlyn Pierre, for pulling out so many young people. So many. He's a mixed age. To that session down at Soubise. Take a bow, my dear. What I am seeing there in that session, it seems to me that a lot of people fed up of this present administration. The way they operate, the way they function. And before I go senior, I'm asking please, Mr. Prime Minister, with due respect to you, sir, I need you to hold a press conference, my dear friend. I need you to address the crime situation in our beautiful land. Too much is really going on as it relates to crime. Presently right now, Mr. Prime Minister, the police presently right now are disgruntled. You are the police chief, you are the commander-in-chief. Mr. Prime Minister, remember, you are the Minister for National Security. Every police officer is under your wing, sir. And in a time like now, when this alleged shooting took place in the Victoria area, both families on the police side and the young man who lost his life, to be honest, I pray for the police this morning. I pray for the family. I both sympathize and empathize. And you, Mr. Prime Minister, this couldn't be Mr. Ralph Gonzalez in St. Vincent. It couldn't be any Prime Minister in the Caribbean that knowing what taking place in their country as it relates to crime. And you, Mr. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, sir, you failed to address the nation and let people know. You could, come on, even though you don't want to speak, you could sing a song like Bob Marley and say, every little thing going to be alright, don't worry. You have never addressed the police. This is one of your soldiers that fall. Mr. Prime Minister, you are the commander-in-chief of the Royal Grenada Police Force. I'm asking you please, as a concerned citizen, sir, get a national television and address the Grenadian people. Encourage the police, Mr. Prime Minister, and let them know that you sung your voice, you care. And visit the home of the young man that lost his life. And also visit the home of the alleged police officer that may be committed the crime is alleged. Give them hope, sir. And as it is here, I'm saying it for you to go. But, senior, the Prime Minister is out of the country again. Oh my God. It is alleged that Deacon Amis Mitchell is out of. Mr. Pierre, I rest my case.
Yes, well, Deacon Mitchell is a hostess. We have to come to the realization. We have a Prime Minister that is a fake, a vulture. He deceives all category of workers in this country, including the Haitians. Look at the injustice done to the farmers and some of the lies told to the farmers about Green Lake truck to pick guava and coconut and mango, about sea, net, about to plant black pepper, blatant, unrealistic statements that have been made. The level of frustration and the loss of hope would definitely contribute to more crime. So one have to hope that the government get a rude awakening as Saul on the Damascus Road and make a change. All for now, he's flying. We object of the amount of time the Prime Minister was flying without the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So now we're flying with him. There is absolutely no need for the regularity with which the Prime Minister flies. Now, when you're a leader of the country, is flaunting the law with impunity and believe that he is above the law, then you're going to have an upsurging crime. And we've been speaking about that. If we want to start to drop the crime rate in Grenada, the government ministers must be more law-abiding. And the statements that emanate from the mouth must not be flammable. It must be courteous and respectful and inclusive. It must not be just flammable statements. Grenada is a small country. And the level of crime we have is rising. You go in an activity and stone is pelting. And the police is firing imaginary gun. The Minister of National Security, the Minister of Legal Affairs was doing that. But the police have the gun with live bullets in it. The police are going activity with blanks. And if what we preach is confrontation and intolerance, it's going to play out with the police. The police is like a contact sport. You know? So you have to be careful. You can't encourage them to go and shoot people. I was saying I disagree with Camilla Bisesa because she was encouraging them to empty your magazine on them. Well, that's a foolish statement. Because the person who comes to break up you, they may well be more professional than you with a gun. And if they know the government is encouraging you to kill them. They will kill you first. So you may well have more people dying from gunshot wounds. In addition to that, children in house could die from friendly fire. Not the enemies that fire on them, you know. They get parents' gun. Because Pamela says she's going to increase the number of guns for protection. So violence is not an easy thing to you must not encourage violence to grow in your country. And we do hope parents, recognizing that your sons and daughters are getting more violent, you must do something. The boys cussing win. They're taking on the police with greater regularity. The police shooting them back. And a dead child is not easy to deal with. So I want to appeal to parents. In the face of all these challenges, we are expected to survive and strive and do well. So I want to encourage all parents to make... Yes, caller, welcome.
You come with Pierre today, sir?
Yes, my brother.
But it's indeed a sad day for a wide cross-section of Grenada, you know. The situation unfolding, you know, the same. To see that an inspector of police has to, what do you say, end up in the first being charged for capital murder, you know. And I say I just came from the town of Mendel, I could tell you, you know. It's something that is really good. But I always know that nobody's above the law, and I've always known that for my own self, being a part of the organization. And at some point, as they say, a man is not guilty until proven, and allegations are there and things are there, and they say evidence has to come forward to prove guilt of someone. And it is so. That's the only situation we can go forward with as it is for now. And it is, you know. But like I say, you know, I want my condolences to the family of the victim who died as a result of the shooting. The other person hospitalized as a result also from gunshot wounds and so on. Like I said, you know, my heart aches, you know, to see a colleague, member, friend, you know, have to go through. But such is life.
Yeah.
A message goes across, because as late last night, I was seeing some videos surfacing on Facebook, and some guys was commenting that they were calling out to one of the media personnel, not media, but social media personnel, to publish that they are being fired upon while a boat is overturned and they are trying to get the boat back on water. And I'm like, is this for real? I mean, at some point in time, you know, you might hear, say, one story and there may be another. I'm wondering, why do gunshots have to be fired? And, you know, if the situation has to be intervened, you intervene and so. I don't know what transpired, but that's another thing that came up. And being a part of a where, you know, persons like myself who are retired, you know, you start giving a lot of attention this morning. You know, it seemed to me that the use of force is becoming a big issue within the RGPF. I think that a lot has to be done right now as going forward with police officers, instilling in them the use of force. Keep reminding them how, where, and when you use appropriate force, time and time again. As I say, from training school, after a while, a lot of officers tend to forget. They tend to forget. You know, they're only human, and so. So I think that's one of the things right now. The use of force needed to be used to our officers on a timely basis, time again. Thanks for your time.
Yes, my brother, the use of force. We don't want a silent public. No, it's easy to go after individuals, and I try to avoid that. That's why I always look at the policy and the factors that would contribute to violence in the country. You heard me repeatedly, when the teachers had the issue, I objected. I say you cannot take a policy that would encourage children to do violence. In the same way I speak out against the Prime Minister and the Minister of Legal Affairs and Karen James and Tevin Andrew and the other members of the NDC hierarchy that seems to be inciting violence in the country. When you encourage victimization and vengeance, what you expect? Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother.
yesterday I was talking to my cousin Trini, and he told me the talk down there now is the Pamela, this is the government is talking about, getting into Grenada gas. I don't know how they're doing that. The way you explain it, it seems like it's some deal going on with the Grenada government with Trinidad. Anyway, hold it on.
Trinidad have a long history in oil and gas. And obviously, countries who just coming in, it might be easy to work with a partnership with Trinidad for the export. A lot of times, countries depend a lot on ExxonMobil and those big mega companies that was working. But I think they're trying to mark out. And there's no question Grenada have oil. We knew that a long time. Every government that come, it appears that it's closer to come to the drum. Guyana took about 10 years to get it to the drum. And it is a process to get it to the drum. It's kind of unfortunate that that was so politicized. And the NDC had to blatantly tell lies about it. They lied. They got all the information. They refused to work on it. And while they tried to see how much marks they could make, political marks they could make. But now they in tune that he have oil. And it could well be that the NDC would leave government and a barrel of oil don't go on the market. That perhaps, and some countries that have oil, sometimes is a cost. Look at this situation in Guyana. A number of experts worry about Guyana's weak institutions. When you have weak institutions, it opens the door for corruption. And we see our government here is deliberately opening corruption door. This government, I don't know if this government is evil or not. This government is deliberately opening the door for corruption. I've said that repeatedly. They dabble in their cults. That never happened before in Grenada. Government ministers publicly dabbling with their cult. Diluting the significance of morality. Have a policy of retributive justice, vengeance, victimizing people openly, firing people because you claim they campaign for a political party. And those people you have fined are low-rank workers. Going after the elderly and depriving them of their income. Not even challenged children was spared. And that is why I say this present government is responsible for the upsurge in crime. The principal figure, the Prime Minister of Grenada, and the Attorney General, well supported by Tevin Andrew and Karen James and other members of the government, and some of the mouthpiece that has been advocating to close down radio station, jail people, using drones to intimidate Jenny Simon. We're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1 when we have another opportunity to continue our discussion. Thank you.
Turn it up, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. talk it out.